Good evening.
VoiceBox, how y'all doing? We are back, VoiceBox Radio, presented by the awesome,
Yeah.
the awesome Brandon. He is on the main floor today. We are super excited to be here with you. Um, there's so many things that's can happen in the new year.
Yes.
We have so much to share with you, but guess what? We're back with a special guest, and we're super excited. You guys like, share, subscribe. Enjoy this time with us. Make sure you tell a friend and tell a friend. We have an amazing guest today. We're super excited. You'll get to know all about this person, everything they provide, and what you can do to help. Our number one goal. As always, thank you for tuning in. We have the wonderful Brennan up on the forefront.
Hey.
And here we go.
Thank you for my lovely partner. We are back. First episode of 2026. We're excited. It's been a good year so far. I'm going to start with announcements as usual. We are continuing forward with our hoodie drive. We haven't stopped. We're still collecting hoodies. We're still collecting any type of winter wear hoodies, jackets, socks, anything like that. We will be donating to the Cold Blue environment.
Yes.
And we're working towards another distribution date where we can do public handouts.
Absolutely. Thank you all for tagging us in the post from the Cold Blue. We are super excited to work with them and give them everything that we have to offer. So if you have anything to donate, any winter clothing, like Brandon said, socks, hats, gloves, anything that can return to the winter and it can help the people at Cold Blue, we greatly appreciate it. As always, you can drop it here at our headquarters, 610 East Landis. If you can't drop it here, contact me or Brandon. We'll come pick it up directly or one of our teammates. And thank you in advance. We love you guys.
Also, we would like to shout out Miracle Kids Learning Academy. Big shout out to Evangelist Tracy. They're here for you. Childcare can be a hassle for people. Yeah. So we try to go out our way to shine a light on this one in particular. She provides services like homework help, academic enrichment, personal and peer development, life skills, music, arts, and crafts. Located at 586 Hill Prince Street, Millville, New Jersey, which would be the Rosenhain area, Upper Deerfield area. Check them out for your child care needs. They're available to you.
Absolutely. If anyone knows Miss Tracy, knows she's a wonderful person. She does a lot of work in the community, and we're super excited to be working with her for sure. So if you need child care, please reach out to Miracle Learning Academy.
And on to Just Jesse.
Just Jesse. Let's go.
Yes. You want to tell the story? Yes.
Absolutely.
Tell the story.
As if you watched our previous episodes, you've seen that I interviewed Just Jesse. And it was a miraculous experience. We enjoyed every bit of her on the set, even though she was nervous. But the way we got in contact is we were contacting back and forth, trying to make a partnership with her. And then I ended up seeing her at an event, and we were super excited. I'm like, yeah, come on down. Just a few weeks later, she reached out to me and told me I won one of her drawings. So that was super cool. And I'm like, yes, please. So she cleaned her office for the first time. We absolutely loved it. And now she is one of our partners. She will be cleaning our building. If you need your building clean, if you need any clean outs, if you need residential help, please contact Just Jesse. She is open and ready to work. She has a wonderful team of people, and we're super excited to be working with her. So shout out to Just Jesse.
Yeah, follow Just Jesse on Facebook or contact her 609-501-6907.
Also, she told me anyone who's running events and
we have a doorbell.
The doorbell's ringing, guys.
No,
We like the doorbell ringing. That means we have guests in the building. That's always a plus. So if you have an event, you can reach out to Just Jesse. She will start your event and break down your event. How amazing is that? We all need services like that, especially like for the resource fair we had, for the Thanksgiving dinner we had. Those resources would have been such a big help. Now we know if you're having an event, reach out to Just Jesse. So we're super excited to be on the platform again. in the new year, we have so many good things available, and we're looking to expand. If you know anyone, not just in the Cumberland County area, not just in the Gloucester, Camden, Atlantic County area, but worldwide, we are looking to interview any entrepreneurs. We're looking for any leaderships, any nonprofits, anyone that you know who has a voice and wants to be heard, anyone with a mission, purpose, or just wants to give back. Please send them our information, have them reach out to us. We would love to interview them. We would love to provide the platform for them to expand their businesses also. So we look forward to working with each one of you, and you.
Steps.
So Brandon is back.
Yes.
Heard you got your steps in.
Yeah.
The steps are so important, right?
Especially when you're on the third floor. Yeah, smoke. Where did we leave off at?
I was just telling you the new things that we have coming up. I was introducing that we're looking to expand. So reach out from any area. If you know a business that needs to be interviewed, if you know someone who wants to do something different, please reach out.
And also, VoiceBox Radio operates as a platform and a show. So when you see me and my partner up here interviewing people, that's VoiceBox Radio, the show. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I ran down the stairs and ran back up. But VoiceBox Radio, the platform. We have slots available for guys that want to do podcasts. If you want to formulate your own podcast, or you have a podcast that needs a home, come fuck with us. Part of my English, but yeah, I'll leave off of that. Anything else you want to throw out there before we get into the interview?
No, I think that's it. I think we should introduce our special guest,
yes,
get into it, and see exactly what's happening. This is a very special interview. Brandon's been wanting to do this interview for quite some time. So I'm so excited to have this special guest. If you'd like to take the time, and there you go. Okay,
this interview is dear to my heart. If you know me, you know that I'm a wrestling fan. A former and current wrestling fan, longtime wrestling fan. Through our marketing promotion and our social media ventures, we came across DAWG Pro Wrestling.
Yes.
Dangerous.
What? A dangerous adrenaline wrestling gladiator. South Jersey's #1 wrestling promotion.
So we have a wrestling promotion that operates out of South Jersey. I did not know that until a couple months ago. Yeah. So we have Jaden here, who is a representative of
Dangerous Adrenaline. Try in English. Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. I'm the head of marketing for them, and help out Dr. Lawrence Zirconium, our promoter.
Dr. Z.
Make sure we're all over the country, all over the United States, all over New Jersey, everywhere we can be. You want to check out the #1 professional wrestling event in New Jersey, you want to check out DAWG Pro Wrestling. And we're expanding. We're taking Pennsylvania next and Delaware.
So give us a little background on yourself. And possibly potentially your upbringing, what led you into the business that you're in now.
It's actually pretty fun. My brother and my uncle both loved professional wrestling. My uncle used to love the WWF. My brother loved the NWA. So they would come in and I would watch wrestling with them. And whenever there was big events, they would take me. My brother, who did also watch the WWF, I didn't know he was my brother. He's much older than me, and I didn't know he was my brother because he used to tell me that him and his friend Johnny were a tag team called the Valiant Brothers. And they were in town. They weren't, but he would tell me they were in town and they were getting ready to wrestle on the Spectrum. And they're just here to meet my mom and help mow my mom's lawn. And I didn't know for a little while. I was a dumb kid. I didn't know for a while that he was actually my brother. I just thought he was one of the professional wrestlers, him and his friend Johnny. Oh, wow. And they'd show up every other Saturday to do our lawn and hang around and get food with my mom. And like, hey, yeah, we're getting ready to go to the Spectrum and wrestle tonight. But he would bring me, after again, he realized my brother, he used to bring me to all the wrestling events. And same thing for my uncle. My uncle brought me to WWF, where I used to go and saw Cyndi Lauper, Mr. T, Hulk Hogan, Rowdy Piper.
Was that the first WrestleMania?
Right around the first WrestleMania time, yeah.
1.
So I used to, before they were building up for that first WrestleMania, they would go back, and he had some contacts. So I used to go backstage and see these guys and talk to them. And it was such a cool experience. And then my brother would come in when the NWA would come in town, and he'd bring me to see the Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Tully Blanchard. And again, it's a completely different than the WWF. They were completely different.
What was it, NWA, you said?
NWA, National Wrestling Alliance, yes. And it would come into town. It was so neat to see that in that area, a different style, more athletic, more crazy. But it was, instantly fell in love with professional wrestling. Knew from right then and there that I was going to be 6'9", 320 pounds of all muscle, blonde hair, blue eyes. Well, my eyes are kind of blue. I got one of them. But I swore I was going to be the NWA and the WWF champion. I was going to beat them both at the same time and become the greatest wrestler of all time. So I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. I used to do, and because of that too, I grew up watching everything. People don't know in this area, we used to have 23.5 hours of unique first run professional wrestling on from various wrestling companies throughout the country.
Wow.
We used to have the WWF, we had the NWA, we had the AWA, we had World Class Championship Wrestling, we had the UWF, we had ICW, we had the UWA, constant different wrestling on some television, and I watched every bit of it. I didn't watch it live, I recorded it on VCR. Showing my age there.
That was till Vince took over and started swallowing up territories, I guess.
He was still around. It was the WWF at the time. So this was the 80s, but there was still a lot of wrestling out there. The WWF didn't truly get its dominance until the late 80s, early 90s. It was, but there were still a lot of promotions out there. And this area was the birth of the independent professional wrestling promotion.
Really?
A lot of the promoters who used to work with Vince Sr., Vince's father, they started working in these smaller buildings that they used to run. Back in the day, there would be a little area promoter. A little promoter have his little area, he'd promote it, he'd get a cut of the gate, and he'd send the rest back to the office. A lot of these promoters who were in these small little areas, they still had all these small buildings that weren't being satisfied, weren't getting these crowds because the WWF was too big at the time to do them. So they started running independent wrestling promotions. The ICW, the Savaldis were originally partners with Vince Sr. And they had started running locally around Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, and that whole Northeast area, which again used to be a WWF hotspot, but in a lot of these smaller buildings that the WWF no longer was able to fulfill.
Yeah, because they're obviously they're drawing way more people than.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's why, again, there was so much independent wrestling and so much wrestling in this area. And they really started in the mid to late 80s when the WWF, again, became too big and they started traveling all over the world, where these promoters started finding a way to make these small little promotions and make some money in doing so. So there was constant wrestling on it. I watched everything. Recorded if I couldn't watch it live, and I watched it all back. And this is first run. That doesn't even include like the Spanish version of some of the wrestling promotions that showed up on Channel 65, which I watched too. But it was the same thing, just different commentary.
Spanish ones, the ones that are still current today, because I know they have like.
Oh, this was just the same thing you saw on WWE Superstars and WCW and WWE Challenge, WWF Challenge. They just did different commentary.
They did the commentary.
Yeah,
okay, that's cool.
So I used to watch that, and there was so much good wrestling on. It was awesome. We had ESPN, we had Channel 57, which we had Channel 65, Channel 17, Channel 35. All had some kind of pro wrestling on. So I loved it. It was something I grew up as a kid. I always knew I wanted to be a pro wrestler.
What was your first wrestling gig?
Well, even before that, I used to do I would show up and do these independent events.
Yeah.
I was selling programs. I was setting up chairs. I would do anything I could just to be around the wrestling. And it was like there was a promotion that was run by Larry Sharp. You might have heard of him. He was the original promoter of the Monster Factory, which was one of the first two wrestling schools in the country. And Dennis Carluzzo, who was a infamous wrestling promoter, had a lot of fun stories about him that I don't want to get into because that'll be a whole show on its own.
Yeah, wrestling is crazy behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, very, very crazy behind the scenes. And I used to help out with those. They used to be at the Route 30 Mall in Clementon when they promote. I would show up and I would help pan out programs and I would sell the programs. I'd set up the chairs. I'd bring the ring jackets back. Whatever they needed me to do, I just wanted to be around.
For the love of the game.
Yeah, I just wanted to be around it because I was trying to get my face out there because I know I was like a little kid, but to me, I was a little kid that was the future WWF and NWA champion at the same time. So I wanted to get out there and meet these kids. And then later I was interviewing some of the wrestlers from my school newspaper. And then even later after that, I was writing for wrestling newsletters under multiple pseudonyms. I would have multiple names and different writing styles, have different articles for the wrestling newsletter because I was writing about 75% of it. And in case you're wondering, if you ever watch John Clark, he is a sportscaster on one of the local I want to say NBC or one of the local affiliates around here.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one writing that newsletter. That was his newsletter that I was selling and writing for.
Yeah.
And he owes me lots of videotapes, by the way. He used to pay me in videotapes. But he owes me a bunch of them.
Videotapes of old matches?
Old matches or things that were harder to get.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, growing up, one of the other things that was loved is my brother was into tape trading.
Mm-hmm.
So we were getting wrestling tapes from all over the country and all over the world. And we're recording the stuff that we're seeing and sending it out to them. And they're sending the stuff and we're trading and getting wrestling tapes of everything imaginable. I'd have years and years and years of wrestling footage to watch in between watching everything that was out there live.
Mm-hmm.
I just absolutely was in love with the sport.
That's awesome that you kind of immerse yourself into the business early on.
Mm-hmm.
So not often do people kind of find their purpose early. We'll say that. Not often do people get to find their purpose early on in life. So that's a blessing within itself. You said that you started out passing out flyers and
doing everything. You
doing we want to call it grunt work, something like that. What was your first, like, what would you call your first big break? Or just you're elevating out of that type of work? Well,
I did that until I was able to go to wrestling school.
Okay.
Once I was legally able, because back then they had an age limit on it, and you were allowed to be at wrestling school at 17 years old with parents' permission. My mom didn't want me to go, but I made sure I did. But I wanted to be a pro wrestling so bad, and I found different wrestling schools in the area, and I found one that worked well with me, and I started training. And I went down. Me and my friends would all travel down. We'd get 4 of us in a car that fit about 2 of us comfortably. Mm-hmm. It was a what do they call that car? A Fiero. It was tiny. It was like Matchbox cars were just slightly smaller than it was. But we'd get in that car and travel down to Maryland 5 times a week, 3 to 5 times a week, just to start training to be pro wrestlers. And then later, when this wrestling school came into the area, I started working on that. It was the original Combat Zone Wrestling School. The CZW is one of the bigger indies out there nowadays, but they got into more of the stuff that I'm not a big fan into. But originally at the time, they were just
the death matches.
That might not my style personally. Even though I could do it back then, it used to pay big money. But
who wants to bleed out?
You made so much more money, and you didn't have to do what they did nowadays.
You
barely did one thing, and they may pay you 10 times what they're getting paid now to do everything.
Mm-hmm. What was the training like, if you don't mind me asking? It was. I can imagine. I know. I heard boxing is difficult. A couple other things. What was that like?
Initially, the very first thing they'd have us do is they'd have us run back and forth to the ropes. Running a wrestling ring is very tough. It's like running in the sand. And it's horrible on your knees, by the way. But it's like running back and forth until they would make sure we were absolutely exhausted. Mm-hmm. And it would just constantly do that. We were trying to break us. They were trying to make us quit. Mm-hmm. The idea is we can get through that. Then we were tough enough to go through further stuff.
Actual wrestling. And
then we would sit there. As soon as we would do that, we would start there and we do calisthenics, we wrestle, and then we would learn moves. And they teach us the absolute bare minimum. We weren't allowed to go further until we were perfected what we did then, and we were very little progression. It was very frustrating because I wanted to jump off the top rope, I wanted to do all this crazy stuff, but they made sure that I learned my fundamentals. And then we were doing a lot of ground wrestling, mat wrestling, chain wrestling. Again, they were making sure we were doing that, but we were also learning how to bump. Have you ever bumped before?
No, I haven't.
Bumping is basically when you learn how to protect. It's when you learn how to protect yourself when hitting that mat. You know how to maximize your impact on the area so to minimize the impact on your body. So what you do is a lot of times they'll teach you how they bump where you put your hands on your shoulders and you have to learn to tuck your chin and how to land safely. Yeah. And we were taught how to expand the overall area. When you bump and you expand that area, think of a box around you. Okay. Now, if you're real narrow, that box is smaller. All the pressure hits inside that box, whether it's the box that's where you are or the space that's not. That's all that ring pressure. Mm-hmm. By expanding your body, having a bigger, wider box, there's more area that energy hits. That's not you. Okay. So that's less that's hitting you as an impact. But it's basically learning how to land safely. Yeah,
you don't want to knock the wind out of yourself or bang your head on the mat.
Yes.
That'll be above.
And I feel like that happens all the time, though. I'll be watching wrestling, like I'm pretty sure that hurt.
Anybody who ever tell you pro wrestling is like laying on a trampoline is completely lying to you. It's like getting into a car accident. You're basically,
willingly?
willingly. You're learning basically every time you're sitting there bumping.
Oh, I bet you changed your mind.
Yeah, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Side note, guys, I've been doing, working out and stuff. I'm ready to get in the ring. I'm not ready, but
He's getting there.
that's one of my goals.
Just imagine, going into a car accident every time you signal your bump. Yeah, that's what it's like. It's like getting hit from behind and getting whiplash as you're sitting there learning how to do it. Your body, as messed up as it sounds, starts getting accustomed to it. So you start, but it's constantly putting damage on your body, your neck, your joints, your back, everything about you. Yeah. But that's, again, we were bumping and bumping and bumping and bumping until we could do it in our sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And those wrestling rings, especially both of the wrestling rings, man, the CZW, I used to bump on the concrete. It was softer. That ring, the guy who ran it at the time, his name is John Zandig. He built that ring. He put a big truck spring underneath of it, and he built it solid. It was so hard. It was so hard. And it wasn't until we had a couple 300-pounders actually break it that it became easier to bump on.
Oh, wow.
Probably because of it.
It hurts. Don't ever think anyone.
What's the difference between a bump and a spot?
Well, a bump is how you learn how to fall. A spot is how your particular maneuver that you're hitting at the time to create the perception of action. Okay. So you can create a spot. Could be anything from a drop kick. You drop kick, you jump in the air, you hit somebody in the chest or in the face, and you create a spot. Okay. Each one of those spots go throughout the different routine of the match. A match is set up of multiple spots that lead to multiple bumps. Okay. Unless you're smart and you find ways to never have to bump. Yeah. People all the time, kids nowadays want to take all these bumps, and when you're my age, you're going to realize that your bump card is limited, and every time you click one of those bumps on your card, your body breaks down to the point now that you don't want to be doing that anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm too old to
So
get
have you
this.
seen an outcome? Sometimes we see like pro boxers. Sometimes we see pro football players when they get a little older, their bodies kind of tore up. Sometimes they have head injuries. Does that happen a lot with wrestlers?
It happens a lot in wrestling. First of all, I remember you mentioned about tucking your chin.
Okay.
You hit the back of your head.
You tucking my chin for everything.
Yeah. Especially if you're falling down.
Yeah, you hit your head, that is a concussion. Or if it's not, you're at least knocked the sense out of you at that brief moment. And it's hard. And then if you also don't learn how to breathe properly, you knock the wind out of yourself. Okay. Have you ever had somebody punch you in the chest and knock the wind out of you? Or hit something real hard, or fall and grab the ground and knock the wind out of you? That's constantly happening in wrestling if you don't learn how to breathe properly. There's when to breathe in, when to breathe out. So many intricacies people don't realize. How to get up so you don't get your hand broken, how to stand up, how to get knocked down. There's so many intricacies that are in the wrestling business that were designed to protect you as much as possible. And good wrestling schools will teach you all of that.
Yeah, protect yourself and protect your opponent.
Yes. Yep. It is a violent dance.
Choreography.
Yeah.
We have a question. We have a question that came through. They said, ask him who was the best fighter he fought.
Who's the best wrestler you've wrestled?
That came from Eva.
One of my favorite matches, and I'll talk about it every day, was a guy named Glenn Osborne. Glenn Osborne, you ever heard of the Road Warriors?
Yes. Yeah.
He was a Road Warrior-esque style wrestler. Absolutely massive. Physical, just like an absolute beast. His nickname was the Beast.
Was he stiff? Did he wrestle stiff?
He was fine. He was perfectly fine, but his arms were like huge, big, muscular arms. Like running into him was like running a truck.
Wow.
Nicest guy you ever meet. In the ring, he's absolutely intimidated. You think you're getting ready to wrestle this guy who's like right off the movie Mad Max and ready to just going to rip you a hot, big, huge guy, face painted, spikes. All the stuff you expect to see in a Road Warrior. Nicest guy in the world. Hey, buddy, how's your mom doing, buddy? But in that ring, he was fierce.
Before, in a football movie, the guy was in jail, and he was the biggest guy there. Yeah, the longest yard. He was the biggest guy there. Had this tiny voice, cutest little thing. Yeah. So caring, but such a nice somebody out.
Such a nice guy, and he would beat me from pillar to post, and that's why he loved wrestling, because I took it. And he would throw me around like a rag doll. And one time he goes, buddy, I'm just going to do a back body drop. Just give me a little jump, buddy, with the back body drop. He launched me into space. Anytime I wrestled him after that, I didn't jump at all. I'd sandbag him. He was so big and so strong. I literally came down into the ropes and kind of fell into the ropes and hit the ground. And he just launched me into the next stratosphere. He is incredible. Does not know how strong he was. Just an absolutely massive guy. A lot of people, he was like a shorter version of the Warlord, if you go back to the day, or like Road Warrior Animal. Just again, so talented and could have a great drop kick for a guy that massive. His legs were like tree trunks. His arms were like weapons, like clubs. He had like big, huge biceps and triceps, and big, huge. Like you chop him in the chest, it's like hitting a brick wall. But again, the nicest guy. I absolutely loved him.
How hard is it to do a drop kick?
His own personal
To do one well, it's actually difficult. There is a lot.
So you got to get height on it.
You got to get height. You got to get hit in the right area. You have to actually hit them and kick off with them. It's a multiple set of maneuvers of body movements to do it right. If you want that, there's so many people who do drop kicks that are just like works of art. There's a wrestler, Billy Gunn. Has a gorgeous,
he's tall. He's huge. Though.
And he's huge. He is such a big guy to be doing a drop kick.
That's true.
There was an old school wrestler called Brad Armstrong. Had a beautiful drop kick. He was like watching poetry in motion.
Is he related to Road Dogg?
He's the Road Dogg's older brother.
Hey, Road Dogg.
Yeah. There used to be a wrestler called Bullet Barb Armstrong. Bullet Barb Armstrong was the father of the Armstrong clan. He had 4 sons, I think. 5 sons. I don't know how to count now. But Bullet Bob had everything. The problem is when he had his kids, all his kids got one aspect of him. Brad Armstrong was his wrestling ability, his smoothness, the coolness, the everything like that. But Road Dogg, Brian Armstrong, he got the personality and the speaking ability. Scott Armstrong was the youngest of the Armstrong. Actually, no, I'm sorry. He was the oldest of the Armstrong, but he was the smallest. He got the brains. He got the wrestling mindset. And now he was a referee for WWF for years. But he had the brain power of the wrestling business. And Steve Armstrong had the pure athletics. He was the most athletic, not necessarily the best wrestler, but had the most highest jump and just that physical presence in the ring where he could do things agility. So athletically. And every one of them got something out of Bullet Barb Armstrong. But none of them got it all, unfortunately. But every one of them, Bullet Bob just brought down that. And then, like I said, they were a wrestling dynasty. They were a wrestling family.
I realized that wrestling is a lot of wrestling families. It's like the foundation of wrestling is like multiple families, either being behind the scenes or being wrestlers. Has always been a thing going, or how's that come to? Because I know they're 3rd generation superstars now and all that. So
there's always been kind of wrestlers that want to follow in their family's footsteps, and the funny part is, especially back in the day, wrestlers try to prevent that. They don't want to. Yeah, it's a lifestyle. You're not seeing your family. Back in the day, you were on the road for 300 days a year.
So maybe that's why the kids get trained up and are a part of the wrestling family, because you get to spend time with your family.
But here's it. Once you become good, you might you work your dad a little bit. Next thing you know, he's in Alabama, you're in Florida, or he's in New York and you're in Minneapolis. Once you get good, where you get booked isn't always the same places. So yes, and it's a way to create a relationship with your father. And a lot of wrestling fathers, they were bad fathers.
The Rock's father, I've seen interviews with him speak with his dad, how his dad tried to keep him from going into the business and stuff like that. And it's just the trials he went through. It's
tough, especially in the old days when there was a lot of drugs, there was a lot of alcohol, there was a lot of partying. Back in the old days, in the 80s especially, the wrestling was like being a rock star. You lived like a rock star. You lived in a hotel room. You traveled. You got to see your family maybe once or twice a week if you were lucky. You were on an airplane. You were in a 5-hour, 6-hour car ride. You were in a building that was quiet. I mean, not quiet. It was damp and it was loud in the night. And you were sitting there with crowds of people, and there's rats in the locker room and all kinds of stuff. And then there was a woman in every town that you had. The old days, again, the wrestlers had a woman in every single area. So that was their place that they would go and stay, and they have their company.
It was essentially a tour, right? Essentially, they were on tour, basically.
It was like they were on tour. Yeah.
We have another question. What's the first thing you learned about wrestling that made you want to make it your career?
I was just immediately in love with it, honestly. The moment, it's kind of like when you first see, like when you're a kid and you first see Santa Claus, there's that magic, and wrestling used to have magic. It's missing nowadays, but it was just that that pure larger than life and that excitement and that experience. So where you are sitting there, you're a bad guy, a heel, or a good guy, a baby face, and you're sitting there and you're creating that emotional connection.
Mhm.
It is psychology, it's theatrics,
Yeah, because it's a
it's
suspension of
athletics.
disbelief.
Yeah.
It's something that you know is being put on, but for somebody to be an audience and still be emotionally attached to the outcome,
Yeah.
knowing what's going on with it, that's talent.
When I was a wrestler
Storytelling.
and when I was a manager, I was very good at getting people to hate me.
Mhm.
We just discussed this.
Yeah, I was so good at getting the part where they're throwing things at me, they're cursing me. Have you ever heard apparently what they were doing with my mother? Mom, bless her soul. If you listen to wrestling fans, my mom must have been really popular with wrestling fans because they were all apparently with her back then, and all the things that they were saying.
She was very active, huh?
If you listen to wrestling fans, what they were saying, what they were doing, yes, and all the things that they say and the words that they were saying, I had when I was managing.
Not the mom.
I was all the mean things that the words coming out of your mouth. You can't be sensitive. If you're sensitive, you don't belong in the wrestling business.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, unless you choose to be a baby face.
Even then, they still like there's the people
Baby
that
face
hate
is
you.
a good guy. Got people. Baby face is a
Yeah.
good guy. A heel is a bad guy.
And again, for a while, like it was huge, especially. But there was also a time where like there was the guys who hated you as a baby face.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
And you had to
You
always
gotta
have
get over.
and the baby face had to get beat up before you can
Mhm.
come back. So you're sitting there and you had to sell and you have to make them, you're begging the fans to give you that energy, that life force, so you can come fight back. It's purely Dragon Ball Z.
Can you define selling for them real quick so they know what?
Selling
Wrestle
is,
talk.
Or for me too.
Yes,
Okay.
wrestling talk. Yeah.
selling is where you put out there the image of you're getting hurt and this hurts really bad and that you need to fight back. You're beat up. You're exhausted. You're tired. You just fought the big war, and this big 300-pound guy's pounding on you and beating you up, and you're fighting back, and you're feeling all that, and you have to make sure that they feel it, not just the people in the front row, all the way in the cheap seats. You have to put out the facial expressions, the body language. You have to make every one of them believe. Believe that you're hurting. Believe what they do is pounding on you. Believe that you're fighting for them and that you need that love, that energy, that support. Give me your power. Give me your love and support so I can come back. And when you do, you build that crescendo and you build and build until the fact that they're ready to pop. I won't say what pop means, but basically a pop is a
Just
big,
a positive,
loud response.
Positive reaction
For when you finally come back and you're taking that bad guy and they're cheering and they're calling, saying, kill that. Kill that.
You can say it. Hey, you can say it here.
Yeah.
I would start doing that.
Awesome.
We run family-friendly pro wrestling, so I have to
Yes.
make sure. Dr. Zirconium always reminds me that we are a family-friendly, all ages appropriate wrestling organization.
Absolutely.
To keep your mouth shut and stop saying so many words. My mom could curse like a sailor. I was 10 years old before I realized some of those words weren't regular, everyday vernacular. And my mom used to make truckers blush, her mouth. And so I kind of have developed as she used to call it, the South Philly accent of the way her mouth and her words and her language that she's saying. Everybody always thought she was a sweet little old lady. She was 5 foot tall, and then she had like, "Hello, how are you today?" But then when she would get going, no, my mom could curse like she made up half those words. I swear. Yeah, if she didn't coin them, she perfected them. And yeah, my mom could curse, and I do have the ability to do so. But Dr. Zirconium always reminds me that DAWG is for the wrestling fans and to keep your mouth shut. And he would curse as he's telling me to keep my mouth shut. But yeah,
let's talk about DAWG a little bit.
Sure.
How did we get there? What was the inspiration? When did you start it? When did it get started and stuff like that?
Dr. Zirconium came up to me and said he wanted to start a professional wrestling promotion. He was tired of what was out there and what was being presented as professional wrestling. Now, he originally tried to buy into this one wrestling promotion, but a wrestler who thought that he was the cat's meow decided he was going to take over that wrestling promotion as their booker. And basically, he had some wrestling ability, some talent, but he wasn't getting a bigger enough break. So he talked the wrestling promoter who was looking into that to let him be in charge of what's going on. And he made it so he made himself a big star. And he started booking wrestling promoters that were running around to be out there and to be on these cards. So the next thing you know, he's booking them, so they're booking him and putting him on these wrestling cards. And he made it as a something where it was all about him, and he didn't care about the person who was the owner of the company. And I didn't like him. I called him a scumbag. I knew immediately he was going to use people. He was using everybody he could to do what he needed to do. And that made me not popular. Dr. Zirconium also knew he was a piece of garbage and didn't want anything to do with it. So he kind of created DAWG out of spite.
Yeah.
You're gonna, I was working with you and I wanted to do something with you. He used to be wrestling partners with everybody else, and a lot of people screwed him over. So he decided, he was going to try to do this initially. And when they screwed him over, he's like, you know what? No more partners. I have employees now. I'm doing this all myself. So Dr. Zirconium made sure that he put out there the product that he wanted to see. And there was a lot of trial and error. He was trying things that he saw. He was trying to find the right talent. But the first wrestling event he ever started was April 24th in 2010. It was at the Ocean Sports Arena, which was up in kind of like middle North Jersey. There's no such thing as Central Jersey, by the way. In case you're wondering, it does not exist. North Jersey, South Jersey, the shore. That's it. But he ran that event, and it was a lot of fun. And then he started running events anywhere he could. It's very hard to be a wrestling promoter. You have to find a building. Got to find a building that's willing to put up with your nonsense. Got to find a building that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. You got to find a building that's not going to let anybody else run that building, because then they'll destroy the building. You have to find so many variables and find one that's on a good location that people can get to, that it's easy to promote, that people can find easily. So many variables, and so many wrestling promoters buildings were screwed over by old wrestling promoters. So it's they screwed them over. They pay them. They had parties and drugs in the back. They had people breaking things. They were doing all kinds of stuff, and you were kind of paying for those sins. Even I know DAWG's paying for those sins even to this day for other wrestling promoters. So finding a place is tough, but he was trying to get out there, and he was putting out events and trying to do the best he can, finding any place that allowed him to run, again, whether it was in a budget that wasn't going to cost him an arm and a leg, that allowed him to put on the product that he wanted, and he really wanted to create professional wrestling. We were talking before, a lot of wrestling promotions out there do sports entertainment.
Yes.
They care more about either the cartoon characters and the over-the-top gimmicks and too much talking. They're trying to copy the WWF or AEW or the big companies out there. And then there's AEW, the other company, they're more like a video game wrestling. It's more about, let me do all these cool, flashy things, but not being able to make a connection. DAWG wanted to be completely different than anything like that. So there were old school professional wrestling with new school athletics. And a lot of people say they're old school. A lot of these old school promoters are just guys who are so past their prime that nobody is using them. So they're all hanging out, they're out there wrestling their own promotion just because nobody else will use them. And a lot of wrestlers do that. They didn't have what it takes, or they're no longer have what it takes, or they burned so many bridges they had to start their own promotion. That was the only way they were going to wrestle. But DAWG wanted to be different. And Dr. Zirconium immediately said, we cannot focus around him. And when he hired me, he said the same thing. You can't focus around you. Yes. We have to focus about the wrestlers and the fans. They're the biggest thing. So a lot of other wrestling companies, they're putting on these sports entertainment shows. DAWG Wrestling does professional wrestling events. If you want to experience the difference between a show and an event, because DAWG doesn't do shows, we do events. Come to a Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators event, you'll see the difference.
Okay. We will be attending one of your events.
I want you all there.
Yes,
all of them.
We'll be attending one of your events. We're super excited to see everything in action and what you guys put together, promotional wise and entertainment wise.
I will say this because, again, I'm a representative of DAWG, and I say it all the time. If you come to a DAWG wrestling event and you don't enjoy yourself, we'll give you your money back. We already know you're going to, so that's why it's an easy claim. But you come there and you don't enjoy Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, we'll give you your money back. Because we're here to give you professional wrestling and give you something where you're going to have it, whether you're 8 years old or 80. There's something in a DAWG event for everybody. The little kids have something. The adults have something. The people that call themselves adults but are actually little kids, they have something. And it's they create an emotional response, a reaction, that connection to the crowd and to the wrestling match. Every match tries to do that. But also every wrestling match isn't the same old thing. There's a lot of wrestling companies you can go to, especially even the big time, where every match looks the same. It's just flippy, or the same thing, or it's all talking. DAWG Pro Wrestling tries to give it so everything in there has something, an excitement and energy, and it's not the same from opening match to the main event.
What are some events that you've done in the past that you like to hang your hat on, where you can say that you're really proud of yourself, or your crew and your team?
One of the most fun places to run is at Rowan University. We run there as part of the Rowan After Hours program. They're sold events for the actual Rowan After Hours program. It's for the students of Rowan University.
Okay.
Come check them out on YouTube. Cheap plug. And you can see just the energy and the excitement and just the overall feel of a major league event. These kids, they are, they're college kids. They want to party. They want to do whatever. And they stop. They do what they're knowing. We put it right in the pit in the Chamberlain Student Center, right there in the center. There's multiple balconies that you can watch this from. They come into the pit and they sit down and watch it. And then you can see them be surrounded, standing room from every single balcony, and they're yelling and they're screaming and they get involved. These are guys that are not necessarily wrestling fans.
Cool.
There's a few of them that are wrestling fans, but they all are, after that, coming to the event. They're all Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators.
Yes, sir.
They come and they love DAWG Pro Wrestling. They ask us when they event. They ask us when we're coming back. We started doing events at Rowan once a year since 2017. This past year, we added a second event at Rowan because the fans want us back, and we do such a great deal. And we are the #1 drawing event at Rowan University.
Out of all types of events.
Obviously not football or baseball, but I mean, like when they have these student engagement events, we draw more than any other event that they do. And we also break their biggest numbers when they record us on Rowan TV. So look up the Rowan television. They can check out the DAWG events, where we have some of our matches from there, that too. You'll have a blast. We also work for RCBC, Rowan College of Burlington County. Again, these are the middle of a Thursday afternoon between like 12 and 11 and 3 or 11 and 4 or something like that. While the students are coming in between classes, they're putting an event outside right next to the student center, so they can come and check it out. And they use this as a way to, especially during times where there's a lot of stress going on with the students, they give them something to break that stress down.
Decompress a little bit.
Right there on a random Thursday afternoon, and they're coming there and they're watching pro wrestling, and they're loving it. Again, a lot of these kids aren't pro wrestling fans, but by the time they're done to the event, they're Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators fans.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
What does 2026 look like?
We're working on so much stuff. Again, I help with Dr. Sakoni Malata. I also help with the social media pages. He's too busy as a doctor,
Absolutely.
But I help him a lot and we're all constantly trying to get events out there. We have 5 events that are various types scheduled currently. I believe, if I can count right. And we're working on many, many, many more. There's so many things that irons in the fire where we're trying. But like, we have an event coming up on Friday night, March 6th at Rowan University for the Rowan After Hours program. We're going to be there for that.
Mark your calendars.
Well, that's a private event. That's for Rowan University.
We're marking our calendar.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's going to be so much fun. You can check it out because Rowan University records them and puts them on their YouTube page, so you can watch it live as it's happening. But the kids absolutely love it, and it's so
where
much
can they watch that at? Is that on a specific page, a specific platform?
It's on YouTube when they record it.
Okay.
So yeah, but we share it all our platforms too.
Okay.
So when after the event, sometimes if we can, because Rowan University's internet coverage sucks. Getting any kind of cell phone signal in there is horrible. But when I try to post it on all the different socials at the time, but you can watch it as it's live from Rowan University, and we also share that in all of our platforms.
Okay.
But you can check it out. But it's so much fun. Check out the Rowan University's events and record it. Check out DAWG Pro Wrestling and check out all the different matches. There's so much. We have over 200 hours of wrestling content on our YouTube page. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload of Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators action.
If you had any advice for someone that's aspiring to get into the wrestling business, what would be your first piece of advice?
Get a really good, reputable school. That's the first thing. Find a place that actually will train you. Back in the day, I would have said the Monster Factory. Unfortunately, They're no longer an option, but there's find a good wrestling school. That's number one. Number two, make sure all your ducks are in a row. To do this, you need to make sure that you're not having to take care of 7 kids, and make sure you're not working 12 jobs, and make sure you're not having to do anything else. You want to put your focus into pro wrestling, because when you put your focus into it, what you get in is often what you get out of it.
Yes.
Number 3, shut up and listen. So many of these kids think they know about pro wrestling, and they don't. They think they know how to do things, and they don't. Listen to the people who actually know what they're talking about, and learn and listen and absorb, and go out to find ways to absorb as much information as possible. Go to the wrestling school while you're there, do your training. When you're done your training, go work out at other wrestling schools. It's also about networking. Okay. You have to learn how to be out and seen by different wrestling promoters, be seen by different wrestlers. A wrestler might say, hey, I need somebody for this card. Do you know anybody? He's like, you know what? I know this one kid. I trained with him at this school. I liked him a lot. Let's talk. Let's bring him in. You never know. It's about networking too. You have to be able to network yourself. You have to be able to market yourself. Putting a flyer on your Facebook page that says, I'm available for bookings. Well, theoretically, if you're a wrestler, you should always be available for bookings. That's not something you need to advertise. What you need to do is message promoters, message the wrestling schools. Do this and put your name out there. Put your videos out there. Share the poster. Share the flyer. Share the promos. And constantly market yourself. It's not just the 10 minutes you get inside that wrestling ring. It's about everything before and everything after. You want to make sure that you want to build that crowd so these people are coming seeing you, and you want to create your brand. Remember, you are a brand as much as you are a wrestler. And try to keep all of the things that don't have to do with wrestling out of wrestling too. That means keep politics out of wrestling, keep religion out of wrestling, keep your sports teams out of wrestling, because there will be people who won't book you because of who your sports team is. So you want to promote it, so you want to get it so you get the biggest audience about. The only thing that matters, it does not anything else. The only thing that matters is the color green, because that's about the money. So you want to make money on professional wrestling, make it the color green as your driving force. Only thing you want to do, only thing you care about is just promote yourself to make as much money as possible. Because again, you are a brand. You want to make sure you're able to sell your t-shirts, to sell your tickets to people to come see you, to buy, to watch your YouTube videos, to watch your Instagram shorts, to watch your TikToks, everything. You want to make sure that they are invested into you, and you want to create that hook. Think of wrestling too as like fishing. When it comes to fishing, you need the right location and the right bait. You can do all the fancy things with the fancy rods and the fancy reels and all the other things about fishing, but you make sure you got to have your right bait. So when you want to hook those wrestling fans, find what wrestling fans in your area or that you're trying to hook. Find what the bait is to hook them in, so you can reel them in and get them to be in love with you. The object is you're selling yourself. The only thing you're selling in the ring, you're selling moves. But you're selling yourself. You're your own pimp and your own whore. You have to sell you so the product, you are the product too. You're not just the brand, you're also the product. You want to sell you to these fans so they fall in love with you. They want to see you succeed. They want to come see you wrestle. They want to buy your t-shirts. They want to watch your videos. They want to come cheer and or boo you. You're selling all about that. And that's the object you need to learn how to do. It is not just all the fancy flips and the moves you can do inside the ring. That's actually the least important part.
Character work.
You have to be able to sell everything and to create an emotional connection with your fans. Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
No questions in the chat. But I just think it's unique. Do you have a family?
I have family. I have no kids that I know of.
Okay.
But
I was just wondering how all this free time is working out in your routine and different things like that. But that's very interesting. I know you said the wrestlers would talk about your mom, the fans would talk about your mom, and different things like that. Did that make you feel any type of way? Was she affected by that at all?
My mom wanted to beat him up.
Yeah.
I'll kill that son of a bitch. But she was 5 foot pure dynamite. But like I knew it was part of the deal. I would have them so angry at me they were waiting for my car. you know, or they're cursing me like you won't believe. One of my favorite stories. I managed this guy named Patch, and we were wrestling in this event. I forget what the company was, and it was supposed to be a family. It was a church though. It was inside a church. I remember that. And they're like, this is a church. You have both. They know both myself and Patch sometimes can say things that could be a little controversial. Guys, you need to behave yourself. No cursing. It's a family environment. Don't say anything that's in there. We're in a church. You got to keep it all PG. You got to keep it quiet, especially me and Patch, because we were the two of the best to not necessarily do that. And we're coming down, and the crowds are booing us. And there was a little 10-year-old boy, blonde kid, I remember. And we're sitting there, and we're told to be quiet. And he's like, "You're a," and then he dropped a C-bomb. You know what that is?
I mean,
yeah,
there's a couple.
Little 10-year-old boy calling us a C word of a female anatomy part.
That's the one I was thinking.
And his father's like, "Yeah," and they're high-fiving his kid. His kid's sitting there. And we're in a church, told to be family friendly, and the kid's calling this that. And me, my normal smart-ass self decided, you got me confused for your mom again?
Ouch.
But, you know, and then I realized, oh, crap, I'm making trouble.
Rebuttals are tough.
Yeah.
Fingers,
I will always have a comeback.
Gotcha.
I had a guy, his name was Tim, who was called the Rowdy One. He was a fan that used to come to a lot of wrestling events. And this one is going to get a little controversial, so I'm sorry, but I have to say it because it's the only way to join it over the aspect of what I was saying. Tim was always on me, and I would always try to get on Tim because he was good. He got the crowd going, and he would always tell me, like, "You can never shut me up. You can never shut me up." Well, one time I'm walking to the ring, and I know he's there because he's always by the curtain ready to yell at us. And I grabbed the coldest water bottle on the bottom of the ice bucket, and I opened it up, took a little sip out, and as soon as he opened his mouth, I threw the cold water right on him. I swear you could watch the steam. He was so angry, and it shut him up. And he came back, and he was sorry. He's like, I can never shut you up. And then the other time we were in Seaside Heights, and we were on a wrestling company. And again, he was always there, and he was always obnoxious. And we loved that, but we always made sure we had to give it back as much as he gave. And he's yelling and screaming. I grabbed the microphone and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a celebrity in the audience. That man right there, he's the world's first abortion survivor. If only the coat hanger was a little longer, I wouldn't have to deal with you." And the crowd went nuts. And again, he shut up. His face was so angry.
Wow.
And it's, again, I always have something. The worst part with me is I say it first, think about it later, and realize I probably shouldn't have said that. But it's natural for me to say things. We had a wrestler I loved. He recently passed away. His name was Dirty Money. I used to manage him, one of my favorite. A big, strong African-American wrestler. It was just amazing. So good in the ring, so talented. And we were wrestling at a Ku Klux Klan biker bar.
Wow.
Yeah. And I already came out there earlier, and I was managing a wrestler called the Sensational One. And the biker, he was an African-American wrestler too. And the fans were yelling at us and screaming at us. So the bikers are driving their engines, and they're all saying the things you probably don't want to hear, but they're yelling and screaming it. And S1 is sitting there. And they had me do this thing where after S1's match, there was a woman wrestler, Cindy Rogers, and she was in the crowd. And I was supposed to trash talk her to set up something for the next event because she was wrestling another woman wrestler I was going to manage. And I sat there, and again, I had no idea what I was going to say until I say it. And they just told me, like, you know, be as obnoxious and hateful as possible. And I'm coming out there, and I tell them, women don't belong in professional wrestling. Women only belong in two places, on their back and on their knees.
Oh, no.
And the crowd, now these are bikers, but even them, they're like, ooh, they're ready. I crossed the line, and they knew it. And their wives were sitting there, and they're yelling at me and throwing things at me and cursing at me. And the things they were saying, again, was very loud. Now, I don't believe that, but you have to, this crowd was a very raucous, rowdy, insane crowd, and you had to do what you needed to do. And then you did what the promoter wanted you to do. And they knew me. I was going to say something. They didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't know what I was going to say, but I was going to say something.
You had to get some heat.
Well, my girlfriend was with me at the time, and she was 19 years old, and it was a bar, so we were 20, 21. She couldn't go to get anything to drink, and they wouldn't even, technically wouldn't even serve her for like the regular drinks. She wasn't
because it would cause controversy. Absolutely.
So I was supposed to go. I was going to the bar to grab her something because we were very thirsty. It was a hot summer day. It was an outside event, and I was going in there to try to grab her some iced tea or something that she can drink, a soda, something, and they wouldn't serve me. The crowd, the bartender was out of the crowd at the time, and they would not. And they kept saying, "Honey, you don't need to be with a guy like that. You don't need to be with that." They kept trying to take her away. Like, we'll find you one nice guy. And she's like still laughing hysterically because she knew, she understood, and she's been there, was out there multiple times on the events, and she knew how I could say it. But it was so nice that I got them so angry at me. So I'm coming back out later, with wrestling with Dirty Money in this crowd. And we're wrestling a guy who's normally wrestling the name Crazy Ivan. But whenever he does these crazy events, they call him Skinhead Ivan. So you can imagine how a biker bar that was very, very Southern leaning and very not so friendly to African-American wrestlers would sit there and like a wrestler called Skinhead Ivan. Does the whole Nazi salute, does it all, comes with the German flag. Again, this is controversial. This was the 90s. You can get away with this stuff. Can't do it nowadays. Back then, that was how wrestling was. It was very, very controversial. The controversy was great.
Yeah. So,
but again, he was, and the funny part is he was Puerto Rican, but he was so light skinned that I didn't know. I knew him for 20 years.
No, Yokozuna wasn't Japanese.
Yeah.
Yokozuna ain't Japanese, y'all.
But everybody, he was so light skinned and nobody knew that he was Puerto Rican. But he's doing this gimmick and he's got the swastika flag and everything else. And then when they tell us, like, we're going out first, they say, your guys are out first. Ivan's the face, which is the good guy. Make them hate you.
So they made the skinhead the good guy.
In the biker bar.
He's at home.
Ku Klux Klan style biker bar where they literally have things on their bar of that it would get them shut down nowadays.
So it's on you guys to get heat on you.
Yeah, so
you tell them what getting heat is real quick so they know.
Getting heat is creating that anger where they dislike you.
Yes.
They want you to see you get beat up. They pay to see you get beat up. They want to see you get hurt. They want to see you die. And that's what heat is. When getting heat is good heat, is getting it so they just absolutely despise the ground you walk on. They would rather see you on fire than in front of them at that point.
Well, you guys already had a little heat just by him being black.
Even before that, I was already had heat beforehand.
Okay, yeah, because you yourself.
So they said, all right, make them hate you. And I look around and I'm like, this is going to be easy. So I get inside the ring and Dirty Money, got big, strong African-American guy, great looking guy. Women loved him. I get in the crowd, I grab the mic and I go, you're just jealous because your woman would rather be with a couple of African-American gentlemen like myself and Dirty Money. And they are screaming, boo, and the women like, I win, and everything. And then one guy goes, what part of Africa are you from? I go, South Africa. But we just had them ready to riot, and they're throwing and they're revving. And we got them built up to the point where they're like almost to the point where they're ready to jump over the guardrail. And then Ivan's music comes out and he plays and he does the whole everything, the Nazi salute, and they pop. They scream like it's peak Hulk Hogan, peak Steve Austin. Again, this is the only thing you're ever going to see in professional wrestling. But they absolutely went ape shit for him. And we did our job. We were told what we were going to do. And again, he's not like that at all. He is the nicest, sweetest person. I wouldn't mess with him. He's tough as hell, but he's such a nice guy. But he's out there doing what he needed to do to grab them, make the money. Yeah. And again, back in the day, most of the wrestlers who were Native American were not Native American. They were Italian. There were some, but a lot of the guys were Italian. One Native American wrestling was from Iraq. The superheroes the Russians weren't always from Russia. There was some foreigners from actually wherever they are, but a lot of times, like there was a wrestler, Ivan Koloff, he was Canadian. Yeah. Nikita Koloff, he was from Minnesota. These guys, but they did the Russian gimmick with the Russian accent and the Russian superiority in the 1980s when we hated Russia. And that's just part of the business at the time.
You kind of needed a character back then. I mean, somewhat now, but they had jobs. And shit.
Yeah. And they had to protect the business.
Yeah.
They were Russian anytime they weren't in their house. That's what they were. They were Russians. Ivan's was a Canadian guy, a nice guy too. His family and his wife, a church-going guy, very loved God, did everything. But in that ring, he was that conniving, evil Russian during the whole xenophobic 80s era where we hated Russia and we wanted to just destroy them and everything was USA. Cold War and everything. Yeah. And then here comes a wrestler the American Dream Dusty Rhodes or Magnum TA or any of the heroes that were there, and they would wrestle the Russians and get that energy.
Can I ask you how you feel about the wrestling podcast today? I see a lot of retired wrestlers, or like even a mainstream business, they're exposing the game a lot now. How do you feel about that?
Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but the cat's been out of the bag because of Vince McMahon and the WWE. I love hearing it because I'm part of it. Because one of the best parts about being a wrestler is when you get those old veterans and they're telling you stories.
Yeah, I'm about to say I've seen a lot of interviews.
Oh yeah, when wrestlers tell stories, just like they tell them inside that ring, they tell them outside, and you get to hear all about these different stories and all the cool things that they did and all the knowledge that they partake. But it's great to hear that, but it still bothers me, and especially the Undertaker is most of all.
Yeah, he's giving up a lot of secrets.
Yeah,
he's just he's running his mouth. It's crazy because for the whole time his career, he used to literally like be in the airport as the Undertaker.
Yeah,
he never really took it off, and then now he's retired. He's just like
and I don't like that. I mean, again, I love the story, especially when they told old stories about what they're going, and it's such a nice to hear all these different things that happened and why they happened, and I absorb as much of that knowledge as possible. And I know doctors are going, he listens to a lot of those too, but I just wish them. I know you can never put the cat back in the bag. You can never put the toothpaste back in the tube. But it would be nice if we can get to a point where people suspend their disbelief and they don't care about what's the politics and what's the issues in the backstage and what's going on. They just want to follow what's in the ring. They shut their brain off and suspend their disbelief and let themselves get engaged in the magic of wrestling instead of caring about everything else that has nothing to do with them.
Absolutely.
Wrestling right now is very not territorial. What's the word I want to use? Very cliche. Very clicky.
Oh,
okay.
Very clicky. You have to like these wrestlers. If you don't like these wrestlers, you're wrong. But if you don't like these, no, I don't like them because they like this.
They call it tribalism.
Tribalism, exactly. That's the word I'm trying to think of. Very tribalism right now. And I wish, honestly, the fans can just shut up and just watch wrestling.
And it wasn't like that with the Monday Night Wars because people were literally watching WCW, flicking the WWF, and then flicking back and stuff like that. But today it's like you got to watch one or the other. Like if you watch WWF, then AEW is like.
They still did watch both, but they still were tribalist. But they were watching it to find out what that next person was going to do. It's the same as listening to Howard Stern. Half of Howard Stern loved him. And they listened to see what he said next. The other half of the people who listened to Howard Stern hated him, and they turned in to see what he was going to say next. It all doesn't matter if you love somebody or hate somebody. If you put an ass every 18 inches where everyone there's chairs is filled up, that's what's important. They can come there and say you're the greatest person in the world. They can come there and say the worst person in the world. But as a pro wrestling fan, all you care about is every one of those seats being filled.
As for DAWG Pro Wrestling, where do you see yourself taking it? Where do you see the business itself of DAWG in the future? And say 5 to 10 years. What are the future goals, aspirations?
I do know there is some long-term things that DAWG has for goals, but one thing you have to learn in professional wrestling is how to adapt, because things change very rapidly in professional wrestling. Nobody was expecting the Chris Benoit murder. That hurt the business both big time and the independent levels.
Talk about concussion protocol and stuff like that. He took a lot of bad bumps.
He had bad CTE and ended up murdering his family and killing himself. So that hurt the business, and a lot of places that used to be fine with wrestling weren't anymore. ECW and the Attitude Era, people still remember the over sexualization and the crazy stuff and the violence, and it still hurts pro wrestling to this day when it comes to people trying to promote it.
And they spent like a decade trying to clean it up. We had a whole PG era where it was like.
Here's the thing: wrestling has always been kind of a niche. And when you Attitude Era, it made it more of a niche sport, a very large niche. But the aspect is you have to be able to promote pro wrestling to everybody and get as wide of a net as possible. Really good professional wrestling that WWE is, if you talk about all kinds of things bad about the WWE and what you like and don't like, they're very good at putting that very wide net and get a very large audience out there. And wrestling can do that. It doesn't have to be your very small type of crowd that loves you and is ecstatic about you and thinks you're the greatest. I equate it to a bar. Many people go to a bar and there's those locals there. That's their bar. They're there every day. They're there at the same time, same group of people. They order the same stuff, and they make it uncomfortable for anybody else trying to go to that bar because they don't want anybody else there. They want them at their bar. And they're constantly spending money and they're constantly buying their food, but they're not allowing the business to grow. So you sometimes have to do the hard thing and cut your regulars out so you can build to an audience that can get you much more money. It's the same thing with the bar itself. You have to cut those regulars that are coming in to make it their local hangout.
Absolutely. We see that all the time.
Yeah.
We see that all the time. Before we wrap up, I just want to ask a quick question.
Sure.
Just a quick question. Do you teach wrestling? If someone was interested, how would they find you? And can you drop all of your handles to your social media so we can continuously post them?
I wish I knew them all, unfortunately. That's why I make QR codes. Because unfortunately, the way wrestling is and the YouTube and everything else, we couldn't get our name the same all the way through.
Okay.
Something happened. We used to have them pretty close. And then something would hacked or something would happen or we would lose the name and couldn't make it again.
Okay.
So we do just check out Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. We're on TikTok, we're on Twitch, we're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. And you check out DAWG Pro Wrestling, DAWG. You should be able to. You check out dawgprowrestling.com. That'll also link you to all our socials.
Okay.
But I forgot, I'll send a QR code to you guys too.
Absolutely. So you guys tune in, you guys like, subscribe. If you want more information, we will attach the headlines for all the social medias that we have from him.
We'll throw it on this interview.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, we'll throw it on an interview. And you can reach out to him if you're interested, or if you just feel inspired or have any other questions. Feel free to reach out to them. If they have an event, feel free to go to the event, support, and always remember, follow VoiceBox Radio.
Absolutely. You have anything you want to leave off with?
Can I promote our upcoming events?
Yes. Yep.
All right. Obviously, we talked about Rowan University on March 6th. March 15th, we're doing the Nerd Force Fan Fest. We're going to have a table at the Nerd Force Fan Fest. That's also at Rowan University. But it's a comic book nerd convention that you can come and check out sci-fi and get all your cool stuff from Dragon Ball Z. And make sure we're going to be doing meet and greet with great wrestlers from Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. You get some merchandise, you can get your picture taken, you can talk to them and get your picture taken with a lot of the champions because we usually bring our champions there.
I want to hold the belt.
So you get with our championship belts, yes. So you can have the championship belts. You can check and get your pictures done. That's on March 15th at the Chamberlain Student Center, Rowan. Then we got Saturday, April 7th at the 4-H Fairgrounds in Gloucester 4-H Fairgrounds for the South Jersey Geek Fest. We will both have a table and pro wrestling action going on there. So you come check it out. Again, you get your cosplay on, check out your Dragon Ball Z stuff, your superhero stuff, your anime stuff, your comic books, your Japanese anime, anything you want to be interested in. They have a huge bunch of vendors, a bunch of things you can check out. They also have like the people sword fighting and all kinds of other cool stuff. But the main event, of course, is going to be Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators action. And here's a little something we're not going to announce till Monday. So you're getting a little preview. I'm not sure when this comes out, but in case it comes out.
Here first.
The
legendary WWF/WWF, AWA, and WCW announcer is Gary Michael Capetta. He'll be at the dog table out the South Jersey Geek Fest. So he is a guy who used to ring announce. He's bringing out some of the biggest matches in the biggest companies in the world. And he's going to be part of the South Jersey Geek Fest with the dog table, along with the pro wrestling action, along with meeting your favorite superstars at Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. You get to meet Gary Michael Capetta as part of that. So again, that's not technically going to be announced on Monday. So you're getting a little exclusive first.
You heard it here first, VoiceBox Radio. We look forward to working with you and partnering with you. Remember to follow him, and we will be collabing with him on a normal as of right now because Brandon is a huge fan.
Oh yeah, we got one more coming out in this area for you guys.
Oh, we got one more
that I'm really looking forward to. We're going to be at Bill's Barbecue on June 14th. Big Bill's Barbecue Bash.
June 14th, blocking the date.
Yeah, it's going to be a barbecue celebration and Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators action. You get to get part of the tickets, and then we're also going to have some other things that are like vendors and maybe a food truck that isn't necessarily barbecue.
Okay.
But we're going to have a big celebration to celebrate Bill's Barbecue.
Okay.
We normally run in the summer, we run the All-American Bash. We're going to call this one the All-American Barbecue Bash.
Nice.
Yeah.
We look forward
Yes.
to that. We look forward. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being a guest. We are
You're
completely
welcome.
honored to have you on our presence. As always, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for sharing, and subscribing. Thank you for everyone who stayed for the whole interview. I believe this is one of our longest interviews that we had, so we're super excited
I mean, the
about
2-hour mark.
the progress that we're making. Anything
Bang,
you gotta
bang.
say before
No,
we
I'm
leave?
excited. I'm happy. I like our Fridays here. Fridays is our load up day. Usually we have DJ Liddy and Flex Friday in the evening. Today we have both, as well as VoiceBox Radio today. So we actually aired three shows today. Well, after Nino comes in after this and he does his show, we will have aired 3 shows in one day. We're super excited for that.
Super excited about
We've been busy booking like crazy. So just look forward to January. We're going to finish January very strong when it comes to the interviews.
Absolutely. We look forward to the end of January. The end of January is our anniversary. We plan on doing
2
something
years.
super big.
Yes.
If anyone has any ideas, if anybody wants to come on the show,
Mhm.
possibly thinking about a stream-a-thon,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, we might do a
We
team
will
stream.
see.
Yeah.
So just look forward to everything that we're doing. Please tune in this week and next week. We have tons of interviews for you, tons of resources. We look forward to having you. As always, we are VoiceBox Media Group. We love you all, and this is VoiceBox Radio.
Thank
See you later.
Thank you for tuning